So something like you described where these kids made an app that tests soil and can be very useful, is that something that will actually get practical application?
It is something that they had intended in putting on the App Store. So a real app that would function the way that they planned. That's the goal, is that FishTank gives them the space to connect these ideas with real partners in the community so that it can grow outside of FishTank, beyond the FishTank.
Welcome to Richard Hawes' YouTube channel, which looks at what we can do today to make Hawaii Island a more sustainable place to live so our children and grandchildren and their grandchildren won't be priced out of here and they'll be able to stay in Hawaii and live good lives here. Today we're talking with Maria Gacula, who is on the NexTech Hawaii Board of Directors and manages their FishTank program, which is doing some real-life problem solving with young students in terms of sustainability. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Maria. Looking forward to this.
First, let's talk about what NexTech Hawaii is and does.
NexTech Hawaii is a nonprofit educational program here on Hawaii Island, and we offer tuition-free STEM learning opportunities to our keiki. We want to get them access to more STEM learning and career readiness in STEM fields.
What age students are these that you work with?
So majority of our students are middle school, high school. We're starting programs now that are also offered to grades. I think the youngest right now is grades 3 through 5.
Oh, that's terrific.
Everything that we offer is outside of the regular DOE schedule. So we're in addition to regular school learning. Most of our programs are happening either on fall break or spring breaks, long weekends. Sometimes we'll join some school events, nighttime events like Hawaii Science and Technology Museum has a science night schedule throughout the school year. And so we join them usually like on a Tuesday or Wednesday evening. So families who are interested in learning about science at that school can also learn about NexTech Hawaii programs.
And I was reading about NexTech Hawaii, and on the website I saw this phrase, which I thought this is very much what you're always talking about, Richard. It said, "Our children hold the key to a sustainable future."
Mm-hmm. The team of 3 that really built NexTech Hawaii from its original nonprofit, the Success Factory, they believed in providing our keiki opportunities to explore STEM, to build their skills so that, they can go and learn maybe away from Hawaii, but come back. The team that put NexTech Hawaii together, that included Gail Takaki, Mayor Mitch Roth, and Doug Adams, who is the Director of Research and Development at Hawaii County. They are very strong proponents of creating a community in Hawaii that will give something to our keiki to come back to, right? To give them skills and learning so they can come back and live here and thrive here and build for the generations. It's kind of like in our values is that we want to see keiki who are interested in STEM, who are interested in these kind of career fields, to give them a place that they can explore those interests, learn from people who are in those fields, and see that, they can go away and get experience and learn, but they can actually come back here too and have a thriving lifestyle here and build new things for new generations.
Richard, that's you all over.
Well, I'm really interested in young kids because I was influenced when I was 10 years old. My pop used to say, "Not no can, find 2 answers for every problem and 1 more just in case." And so I just went through life like that, just in the back of my mind. But then as time went on, I started to realize, holy smokes, that's how come I became the person I became. Educating the young kids is so, so important. I'm really happy you folks are doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is that, the saying, more is caught than taught. And for children, it's if you don't have the example, you almost don't know how to, because you haven't seen it done before. Part of us connecting students with people who have done the work before, who are doing the work, kind of like just here's this real life example. We can imagine things that don't exist yet, but to learn a skill, right? Mm-hmm. First you show, and then you do, and then you get better at it.
Yeah, I give you another example. I've been spending a lot of time on the springs that we have on our property, mm-hmm. because it's covered with fiddlewood and guinea grass and stuff like that, and you can't see it, you can't imagine it. And I know exactly what you're saying. If you can show people what it is, then they can expand their minds. Mm-hmm. But if it's blocked off and just you don't see it, it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good example.
We're generating electricity from one of the streams. But then, from the smaller springs, we could probably divert the flow of the stream so that it could come in one way or come in another way. And then you could generate electricity on a smaller scale. Then the kids could think, oh, you don't have to have just that big one. You could do the small one. Here's an example that I didn't realize until I started doing it. And that's why I like to do it myself so I can go through and understand the implications. I've spraying the guinea grass and it's plugged into the lighter in my truck. Okay, so that's all good and fine. It feels like, oh, it's pretty straightforward until you start to think, holy smokes, you mean I gotta keep the truck running? So it's that whole big motor that's providing that little bit of electricity to run the pump. And you wouldn't know it until you get the fuel bill. Hey, wait a minute.
Where did it all go?
If we could do it from the stream and it's running, perpetually.
Its own. Oh, yeah. That's a great example. Some problems are super complex. And to translate it to a group of students, you have to break it down into smaller, simpler, easy to bite pieces. If you really kind of zoomed into it and simplified, well, it's this problem and this problem and this connect, and then we go back out and look at it again, it makes it easier for them to understand, okay, that's what the root of this interesting problem is.
Yeah, that's great. I can really relate to what you're doing.
So NexTech Hawaii, with some of these programs in general that you do with kids, you're working with community members, is that right?
We are. So we're very, very lucky and grateful that a lot of what we offer for our community are backed and supported by 100% volunteer team. We've been able to build a network of parents whose students have been part of the programs continuously or have gone through a lot of the other programs and have become kind of like a network of expertise as well. There are engineers, engineering parents, business owners, community leaders whose children have passed through our programs, who value what we're doing for the community and have been able to share their time, share their expertise in different kinds of workshops. For instance, we have a fall break STEM camp coming up for middle schoolers. It's a 2-day camp, and we're offering a workshop on AI and machine learning from one of our NexTech parents, that's their expertise. We have a 3D printing team. They offer an at-home learning program. So for 6 weeks, we loan a 3D printer to a family. Our student mentors are paired with the students and the families. And every week they're getting assignments. They're learning how to use the 3D printer, and they're engaging with other students who are part of it. They're engaging with the student mentors, and they're carrying them through these 6 weeks up until the very end, where now they're equipped with how the machine works, where to get designs. If they're advanced enough and they've explored on their own, they'll look for other designs, tweak designs, but they'll know how to use it from start to finish. And that's all led by students.
Okay, tell us about FishTank, the Sustainability Design Challenge, which I think is an engineering design competition that was inspired by Shark Tank. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. So FishTank is a really exciting event for us. What FishTank is a problem-solving competition, or a challenge, really. It's centered on 2 major components. One, teaching students how to use the engineering design process, and then 2, what the design challenge is. So every season of FishTank is a different design problem that teams have to explore, define a problem within these problem categories, and then offer up solutions. Each team, it's a minimum of 2 with a max of 4 students. The competition is open to anyone on Hawaii Island, and because it's an all virtual, mostly virtual competition or challenge, or wherever you are, you can participate as long as you have internet access.
Is this any age students or certain ages?
So this season it's going to be from grades 5 through 8. FishTank had started off as a STEM design challenge, but each year had some element of sustainability. And so we officially in 2023, I believe, changed it to the Sustainability Design Challenge. That first season, we focused our problem categories around the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. Last season, we introduced to the teams the Aloha Plus goals, or the Aloha Challenge, which is this framework that Hawaii Green Growth put together. They help narrow down those problem categories into areas that were specific to our location.
Can you give us maybe a couple of examples of what students did in this most recent one?
So our winners of the last challenge, they're called Team Potato Batteries. They are a group of 4 middle school and high school students, and their idea is an app that tests soils. They had learned that the UH doesn't do any soil testing anymore for our farmers. And what they did was they did a lot of coding, and they talked to farmers in our community to understand how soil is tested, and then coded an actual app that would analyze their soil and then be able to offer kind of like what would grow best in this type of soil that you're in. So it's very site specific, and it's a lot of math is what it turned out to be.
She's exactly right, because it's complex now for farmers to go get soil testing and water testing. And to be able to do that, that's a huge deal. On the Big Island, we have a problem. We can't do farming to scale like they do in the Midwest, large equipment, stuff like that. Because when you do it to large scale, the way they do it in mainland, the unit cost goes down. But we don't have that here. We have different elevation, different topography, and so we have to figure out a different model to make farming work so that we can get food secure. So what I've been thinking of, and maybe the students can think about something like this, if you had to choose to develop a system that had multiple income streams, small income streams, to make a small farm resilient for food production, how would you go about doing it?
That's a great problem. Yeah. And it touches on, I think, what is really important in problem solving and finding solutions is that you have to think about the system. I know we talked about the benefit of isolating a problem to the root, but then you also need to consider how that solution works in this whole system of other things that could impact it or affect it or could benefit from it. Yeah, that's a great problem to offer up to our teams this season. I would love to have one of the teams explore that.
So something like you described, where these kids made an app that tests soil and can be very useful, is that something that will actually get practical application?
It is something that they had intended in putting on the App Store. So a real app that would function the way that they planned. That's the goal, is that FishTank gives them the space to connect these ideas with real partners in the community so that it can grow outside of FishTank, beyond the FishTank. We've had teams in the past kind of be mentored by community leaders because they know that there are grants out there just for the thing that they were working on. So they try to stay in contact until that's ready. There's always that possibility that, yes, their idea could grow outside of FishTank. That's what we hope.
Isn't that great?
Now, part of the engineering design process, the very last step is presenting the idea, because you can have all these great things to talk about. Communicating that idea gets it out in the world, and it's important to be able to do that effectively for it to, carry on. So we also offer expertise in storytelling. We had a workshop last year about how to put together a presentation and really pay attention to the font that you're using, the size of it, the color, the way it looks on a presentation, because as soon as you put a slide deck up in front of someone, there are so many other distractions that could keep them from understanding what your idea is. They'll submit final materials that includes a technical summary, pre-recorded video presentation, and a slide deck. Throughout the competition, they're recording their notes in engineering notebooks that we offer them at the very beginning. So they have to turn in their notebooks as well as a recording of their work. And then our team of judges will evaluate all of their submittals. We end the challenge with an in-person, what we call pitch day. And this is kind of where the show Shark Tank. The finalist teams present in front of a live audience. We have 5 finalists. They'll go through, share their slide deck, and then our panel of judges evaluate their presentations and then present awards to the winning teams.
Boy, that's terrific.
Very exciting.
Do you already know what the theme is for the next fish tank, and when will that be?
We know for sure that we're still incorporating the UN SDGs and the Aloha Plus goals. Registration will open November 1st, and then we'll close right before the holiday season. So the new season of Fish Tank is going to kick off January 11th. It'll run for 12 weeks.
Well, that all sounds terrific. If community organizations or individuals want to get involved in this and help, how can they do that?
They can contact us. Our email is fishtank@nextechhawaii.org. They can also visit us at our website, nextechhawaii.org.
Are you actively looking for people to be involved?
Yes. If there's anyone who is interested, who likes what we're doing, who wants to help in some way, I'm always open into connecting with them.
I wanted to just give you a broad overview. I don't know if we talked about this, but between the Wailuku River and Hakalau, we have the northeast trades pushing up against the mountain, yeah?
Okay.
And then the water comes down, and so there's at least about 16 perpetual streams. So what is the implication is that what comes out, the chemical content is stable, the temperature is stable. So depending on how you utilize it, either you let it flow, then it can mix with other things, or you put it in a pipe and it stays stable, and you put it somewhere, maybe to fish, for example. The soil in this area is volcanic ash from volcano going up in the air and dropping. So the way John Cross explained it to us is that if there's any rocks in the soil, it was brought in by man.
Wow.
So when you think about it that way, it's uniform. There's a characteristic about it that's very interesting, and that is it can get hard and you walk on top of it and it gets to be like clay if you don't touch it. But then as soon as you send a tiller, a rototiller or something through it, it breaks it up and it goes back to kind of almost the way it was.
Okay.
And one of the real implications in this is if you were to dig a ditch and fill it up with drain rocks, what you've done is you've lowered the water level and made the surface more stable. So in other words, if there's a place where water is collecting and you need to move it somewhere else, you could do that.
Wow.
And I'm learning all this, just by fooling around, doing what I'm doing.
Oh, that's so interesting.
I always go back to the 5 multiple income streams. So given that situation, what 5 things could you do? 1 would be bamboo. 2 would be running, sweet potato. We see sweet potato all over the place. But if you ran sweet potato through on one end where there's the nutrients in a gutter kind of system, and you put stable nutrients and it wicks the nutrients up, what happens is you don't throw anything away, because right now, I don't know, there's a large percentage of the crop that gets thrown away. That means you can harvest 100%. And then you don't have to have a dormant period to wait till the disease goes away. You can just replace the nutrients and you're back in tomorrow. And you don't have to do a large scale operation, just enough for a family. And you can send your kids to go check the water. So just 2 income streams right there, yeah? And, like bamboo, you hardly got to do anything.
It's very sustainable thinking or sustainable mindset. When you think about a family who is part of this way of growing their food, generating their own income, the kids learn the skill, they can pass it down. It feels whole and it feels connected to sustainability, because that's what we're trying to do, right? Where we're trying to create this value in students to think that way, to think, it's not just now, it's for later, so that we all after us get the same, if not better.
And if we're successful in doing that, then the first thing is the farmer got to make money. There's no way around that, yeah? So if you can figure out a way that can happen, then the kids look at that and say, hey, that's something that I wouldn't mind doing. And then when you look at that, the sustainability and the ability to feed your people, there's nothing more important than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So if you can instill that in the young kids, because it works, holy smokes.
Yeah, well, let's do that. let's open their eyes to it and give them those points of view.
You guys are on the exact same page, so this is great.
I see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is very interesting, and I have enjoyed hearing about it. And thank you so much for joining us today, Maria. What a great program you and NexTech have put together, and it was interesting hearing about it. And thanks everyone for watching. We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Richard Ha's vlog. Ahui ho.
Okay.